you have to be able to go convince those first 3 customers to say, here's the product, please try it, and give us the feedback so that we can make this product better, right?
I'm excited to continue our conversation now, hearing more about your journey of how you got to where you are today. Where did it begin?
3 or 4 companies before we started Malbek, one of the companies where I was CTO, CEO asked me to look at the whole business process, just because I had that eye to understand the different parts of the business process. He asked me why some of the sales deals are not going through as fast as it should. And then I started looking at that. The constant theme was legal team is not able to turn around contracts faster. And then I went and started meeting with the lead, general counsel, and other team members. So what I noticed was no fault of theirs. They had to take every contract. You are in the Salesforce, and you need to take all that data in Salesforce and create a contract. That will take a few days. And after that, you give it back to salesperson, and the salesperson has to give it back to the prospect or customer, and they will redline, and it comes back. Then they don't know where you have to go. It's a maze, right? So they need to get CEO approval, or they have to get CFO approval. They have to get logistics team approval. It was a nightmare, right? So it made a lot of these deals just fall through the crack or go to the next quarter. So that was the light bulb went there.
Was this at Rivitas, or was this at Rivitas?
This was, like core metrics. I was just trying to understand, and Saba was another company.
Gotcha.
Where it was a gradual buildup, right? In Saba, we had to, the commitment is something that we did not understand, right? We had 2,600 customers at that time, if I'm not wrong, and across the globe, the commitment, what is committed, and how do you recognize the revenue? Is there a consistent way of recognizing the revenue? All those things started making me think that everything falls back to one thing, which is contracts, right? So that's when I got into Revitas. In Revitas, I learned quite a bit about revenue management. And while learning revenue management, learned quite a lot about contract management. And that's how the Malbek is formed.
This company here is your first being CEO? Several times C-leader, CTO, but the first CEO role?
That's right. So this is the first company as CEO. We have 2 other co-founders, amazing co-founders, with whom we started this company. Yeah.
Getting it started. You're not new to the SaaS world. So what was it like, though, being able to get funding and getting it started? Any lessons learned? Maybe something you do differently, or you would recommend other SaaS leaders to keep in mind when funding?
Sure. This is my, believe it or not, 22nd SaaS application in my career. So I was involved in that many, but this one is special. We put in so much of love into this. For any entrepreneur, if you're a business to business kind of solution, definitely know who are your first 3 customers, right? First 3 customers. That is key, right? Of course, the product fit is extremely important. You have to solve a good problem, right? A need has to be there. But while doing that, you have to be able to go convince those first 3 customers to say, here's the product, please try it, and give us the feedback so that we can make this product better, right? So that, to me, is something that I knew right from the beginning that's important. I did not keep 3 customers in mind. I had kept 1 customer in mind to start with. So I would say definitely keep 3 in different industries if you're a horizontal solution.
That way you have enough of a variation in version, and if something happens with them, you still have two others that you can work with.
Exactly.
Got it. That's powerful. For getting those first customers and then beyond that, how to scale, was there been any favorite campaigns that or impactful ways of marketing and outreach that you have found have worked?
So that core team is so critical, so critical. I mean, if I mean, I know entrepreneurs think that they're superheroes; they can do anything and everything. Uh, but I was a realist, right? I was a realist. And I was very lucky to have an amazing, amazing executive team members, including the head of marketing, who is so creative. And we were able to get her as a part-time employee. Of course, we couldn't afford her for full-time. And she made all the difference, right? The perspective that she brings, and she brought in, and the head of sales, the perspective that he brought in, and the head of customer experience. So that core team is extremely critical. So the first 6, 7 leads that you build, you know, like as an entrepreneur, you're very protective. You will say this is the only way, but that's something that I learned over the time. You should be open. You need to learn from others, right? So these members, I would say Malbek is shaped by many great individuals like this, right? So that's what is very important. Core team members.
Team it sounds like it's everything in order to grow, in order to build. And I imagine it's changed and continued to grow over the years. How many team members are you at now today?
So we have about 26 employees right now, and growing, continuously growing.
Keep that culture as you grow. I imagine it changes a little bit. So how do you keep the right structure, and what do you look for when you're adding more team members?
Sure. You know, like this is very important. Culture is the heart of the company, right? And the culture is, a lot of things are invisible, right? With the way you set an example as a leader, right? For example, we do test fest across the company, right? So that's kind of, you know, like that's a culture where quality is not just the QA team's responsibility. Quality is everyone's responsibility, right? And we do some of the things which are funny and nice. Music is intricate part of the
Music.
yes, music.
How
And
so? How does that integrate? Just everyone's plays instruments or what?
so every Friday, actually every Thursday, sometimes it can be Friday, but every Thursday now, we spend about 1 hour with different team members, either doing poems, singing, playing musical instruments. It's a fun hour where it's open for anyone who wants to join, right? And believe it or not, there are new team members who have joined in the same week, and they have done singing. So that made them comfortable to be part of the system, you know, like part of the team. So that builds that camaraderie, you know, like the friendship between the team members. That's very important. Yeah.
When you're hiring a new potential candidate and you're looking at them, beyond the resume, what methods do you use to assess that potential of the candidate?
So attitude is everything, right? Attitude is so important. With that, the method, the open-mindedness, the way the person can think and take input and try to learn and solve certain problems. So typically our interviews will be quite open-ended questions, right? It's because we want to learn the perspective a person brings to the table, rather than someone who is an expert in every area. So we want to see whether the person brings a specific perspective and also ready to take perspective from others. So that is one of the most important features we look at.
Moving forward in this interesting world we're in at the moment, COVID, How do you see the challenges and hurdles you're going to need to overcome in coming into the next year, both internally with your team, as well as externally with your potential clients and reaching out during this time period?
Actually, the things did not change a lot for the company for the COVID because we are a startup and we are remote teams, right? Most of us are distributed. Our team is distributed across US and India, right? We did not have that big of a challenge to adjust to this. The opportunity is definitely what we've seen as the customers are, were struggling, right? But particularly customers who hadn't implemented the solution yet, they're going through the process because they were used to going to the next door and then getting that contract reviewed and getting that contract signed. So what I've seen is change in the behavior of the customer, right? To adapt to online, like the technology. And I believe, like ours, among many other companies, will help in that process. It becomes an enabler, whether it's online or offline. It's a good behavior change, frankly.
Are there any books, audiobooks, podcasts, or journals or blogs that you go to or found really helpful in the past and would recommend?
Sure. Typically, I read mostly the technology books or business books. And the last one that I read was Build What Matters. So Build What Matters, it's a product management. It's a book about product management, how to optimally build the features rather than creating a bloat of features. And also, what is that perfect combination of requirements that you can gather to build the right things for the customer, the best customer outcome. So that's one of the books I would recommend. And Hiring with Your Head was another one. These are some of the things that board team members recommended that I read. I learned quite a bit about the things that I thought I would have hired 100 or 200 people in my career, maybe more. But I learned a few things which are new, right? Same with the product management. I've built 22 SaaS applications, but you never stop learning, right? So there are some cool things that I learned in this new book.
Last question for you. What kind of technology innovations do you predict we will see in the near term next year and long term, 5-10 years?
So definitely the AI is everywhere, right? And different people think AI differently, of course. Some people think that AI is going to take away the jobs. It will do, like, for example, lawyers are not needed anymore. That's one of the thought process for some people. I believe it's going to be an enabler. It's going to be an assistant, right? Which is going to, like, if you can review, let's say, 100 contracts a quarter, you can increase that to 200 contracts, or maybe 300 contracts, maybe 500 contracts. But there is no replacement for that human angle coming into that. I'm very excited about the open AI, right? The open AI innovations that's happening, particularly the semantics part of it, right? But at the same time, I believe it's the context which is very important, right? So it has to be put in the right, right platform. And also you need to guide the user in the right way. So, I mean, that's one of the exciting things that I'm definitely looking forward to.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.